Hey, welcome. I'm chatting with Erica, who's in the green room, and now we're live. I should have. No, I'm going to leave it. I'm like I should have raised the screen, but we're going to leave it just as it is. Welcome to another edition of Live and Unscripted. This is the July 26th edition, and I am so excited to be here today. We're a little late in starting because I just had like a precursor conversation with our guest today, and I thought I should have pushed start just in that conversation because it was really awesome. So I'm really excited for what's going to come out when I bring her on screen. If you are new to Live and Unscripted, this is a video podcast where most often I interview people who, like today, I met Erica while Leah and I were in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, looking at stickers. And there was a woman standing next to us, and she said, I made those. What? And we stood there and we'll explain. We admired her many stickers that were there, and a conversation ensued. And so she's going to be here today. So that's what Live and Unscripted most often is about: is me taking an opportunity and a risk to get to know somebody live. I'm going to ask one question, and then we let inspiration be the guide from there. I love these conversations because it allows inspiration to show up and really be the guide of what comes out in the next hour. I love what comes out in people's stories and the opportunity for them to share these pieces of their story. I'm a really firm believer that our stories have value, and in order for them to really have value and our lives to have a greater meaning, it's important that we get an opportunity to share them, especially the stuff that's like really challenging and causes us to stretch and to grow and to cry and to weep. But when we can share that stuff and say, man, this is what I learned from those moments, there's just greater depth to our lived experience. And we just never know when our experience and taking the risk and opportunity to share it will bless and enhance the life of someone else who may be going through something similar. So in a nutshell, that's what Live and Unscripted is all about. I want to thank those of you who are viewing us today from our Facebook group, The Righteous Rebels, and those of you who will see it live on YouTube, and those who'll see it on LinkedIn, and whether or not you see it on a replay. Thank you for sharing time with us. We know that time is really our most valuable resource, and that you are choosing to share with us means a great deal. And we just say thank you from our hearts. Okay, let's see. Housekeeping. We've got a river trip coming up in, oh my gosh, it's coming really soon, August 14th. We're excited to share all of the adventures that come from that. And we'll be opening next year's river trip, same dates, August 14th through, we're going to say the 20th, just so you have an extra travel day. We're going to open that on, I believe, September 1st. So watch for that. We have 20 seats available, and you're going to want to be in one of those seats. We also have a live in-person event coming on August 24th in Sugar City, Idaho, with my friend Jeff, who happens to be an amazing chef and just an amazing soul. We have 10 spaces available for that. We just started putting that out on the Righteous Rebels page. So yes, if you are not a part of the Righteous Rebels page over on Facebook, the group, not the page, head on over to Facebook, look for the Righteous Rebels group, click the button, boink, and we will let you in. That is the first place that we'll put all of our information and details of upcoming events and what's going on. You can watch replays here. We also will have a spot for those things on our webpage, therighteousrebels.com. And then, you know what? The big ask, like, share us out. If you like any part of what we're doing, we actually would like to keep the lights on and put food on the table. And so we do this for free because we like to. And so if you want to donate, or you find what we do valuable, we will graciously accept your kindness, and by way of energy of dollars, and we'll make sure that you know how to do that, or just get a hold of us. But mostly come be a part of what we do. Come share your magic in what we're doing, because it only gets better when you're in it. So with that, let's start how we always do, and that is with taking a few moments to just practice breathing, being present. Today we're going to do just simple box breathing. So that's breathing in through your nose for a 4 or 5 count, or whatever works for you. Holding that inhale for the same count. Breathing out through your mouth, releasing all the way down into your pelvis. Holding that exhale for the same count. And then starting over. We're going to go probably, let's do 4 cycles of that. Just as getting in the practice that it doesn't take long in order to just slow down your heart, get it back into coherence, to slow down your mind and be in a really present state where you can actually feel, where you can feel what's going on, you can hear your own voice, you know your own thoughts, and you can make far better decisions in a place of coherence than in crazy sauce. So I'll do the first one with you. As you do this, I'm going to invite you to do it with a downward gaze or closed eyes, whichever is most comfortable for you. And so let's just do the first one together. Go ahead and close those eyes. Take downward gaze in through your nose for a long enough count that you can really fill up down into your belly. You're going to hold that inhale and then release it. Letting go of as much air as you can, holding that exhale. And then the next, let's do 4 sets on your own. As you do that, just notice what goes on in your body, what goes on in your mind. What are you feeling that maybe you didn't feel before? Good, let's do one more cycle. Beautiful. And when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. I love how almost instantly I feel myself settle. I get on here and I get all excited because I am excited. And today, even more because of the pre-conversation that was going on and taking place. And it's like, oh my gosh, I met this woman in a five and dime, but recognizing that I know her from long ago. I know her soul, and just how easy it's been to have conversation and how excited I am to bring her on screen. So I'm just going to bring her on screen. So today our guest is Erica. Is it Mazzeo? How do you say that? I don't even know.
Yes, it's Mazzeo. You said it perfectly.
Mazzeo. And we met her when she was representing Holly Sage Art, which is the mother-daughter sticker company that she owns and runs. And it's my understanding, like, it's across the country. It's not just in the little town. It's like countrywide.
It is.
We're gonna go ahead. No, go.
I was gonna say it's a wild thing. I mean, it started very small, just making a few stickers and selling them at the local market. And so I'm very grateful that now it's across the country. And that took years. But yeah, it's been awesome. It's been a good ride.
I'm grateful too, because it gave us the opportunity to like bump into each other.
Totally.
Okay, if I point that way, am I pointing to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that good?
It's opposite. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
It's opposite. Yeah. No, you're good.
Okay.
And so here's a couple of things I learned about Erica. So Erica is probably the quickest invite to Live and Unscripted that I've ever had. Usually it was sending out some messages on LinkedIn, and then people would respond, and I'd set up a phone call. We'd have like a 15 to 30 minute phone call, and I'd be like, yeah, let's do an interview. Seriously, Erica was like, I'm the one who makes those stickers, because she was oohing and awing over them, which was really brave to be like,
you guys were so sweet.
I do that.
Aww.
And then to stand there while we oohed and awed over all of the stickers and tried to figure out which ones we wanted because we wanted them all. Um, and then to just start this little conversation, we spoke for what, like maybe 5 minutes, just standing there by the stickers. And
Totally.
I felt my soul just like fall in love of like, this is a good person. And
Oh,
we learned just like a little scratch of her story and how the stickers got started. And I just found myself almost without thinking like, hey, do you want to come be on our podcast?
that was the
And
kindest invitation too. That was like super brave of you to just be like, hey.
I love it. Thank you.
Aw.
And that's what we were talking about before is we started the show is these moments of where we practice bravery of
Mhm.
and trusting the moment and having the courage to like ask a question or get to know a stranger and recognize that they're not really a stranger. And um Erica and I were talking before. I was telling her about our camping experience, and I honestly felt like I could go look up your number because I didn't have your number. That I could go look it up and say, "We're getting rained out. Could we come stay at your house?" And she'd be like, "Yeah, come."
Totally.
Like that's
Absolutely.
that's the kind of connection that we felt. And I just want to acknowledge for people that that can be risky because it requires you to
Oh
feel.
yeah.
It requires you to maybe stretch a comfort zone. And for some people, it's easy. Like we'll just
Yeah.
acknowledge that. For some people, that's easy. But and sometimes for me, most of the time it's fairly easy. Sometimes I still feel like hesitant, but there was something. And so I learned now that she just started fly fishing. She lives in one of these amazing, beautiful places. And Erica, just thank you for being on here today and for being the soul that you are that emanates a light that really just it shines and really called to my soul that enough that I'm like, you got to come. I got to share you with people.
You are that was the nicest. Like, that is so sweet of you to say that. Oh my gosh.
You're
I
welcome.
felt drawn to the two of you. I was just talking, I just was like, let's all just be friends, right?
Right? You said one of my favorite things. You're like, I don't know why I'm saying these things, and I was
I
giggling to myself
know.
because
I know.
I hear that comment so often. I don't ever say these things to anyone, or I don't know why I'm saying this, and I'm giggling because I'm like, it happens all the time. And
Totally.
I'm grateful for that. I'm going to call it a gift. I'm grateful for that gift
Mhm.
and that people feel safe enough to start sharing. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. And I
Okay.
felt safe enough to open up to you guys, to the two of you. So I mean, it goes both ways, right? It was just like a
Yeah.
very like safe. And the funniest part was that the floor stand with the stickers on it was just in the middle of it. Like we were just in a little
Right.
alcove,
We
a
had
little
this, and
energy
there were
circle.
other like little stands and things all around it.
Yeah.
Like the space we had was this little squishy, we barely fit into the space.
It was hilarious. There were just sticker stands all around.
Right. And people everywhere.
People everywhere.
Oh, I love it. Okay, I'm gonna just reset this really quick. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about. Well, no, let's just start with the question.
Sure.
The question that I love to start with. Okay, now I just making sure we're on there so that I can see the questions that come through.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and thank you to you, the guests who are on here watching, and please share us out. Share us
Yeah.
out if you like anything that we're doing, or if you know someone, like let us know. But share us out. It means a lot to us, and it would just be awesome.
Yeah.
I totally lost my thought because I was caught in. It means a lot to us. Okay, so the first question being, tell us what you were like as a kid, and maybe what you wanted to do when you grew up.
Okay. So as a kid, I was super like, I loved the idea of things being really like magical. I always kind of like, I would bury treasures. I always loved fireflies, anything that felt like really inspiring and kind of out of the box. Anything with a little extra like sparkle was always something I was drawn to. I had a lot of energy, a little bit wild. Um, but yeah, I would just go explore outside and play and just I
Now
just
I know why I like you.
It really oh. I was always doing things that felt, like, very, like, sacred. I did really strange things as a kid, like, I remember, like, making, rituals, like, writing out things that, like, I wanted to do to bring in, like, good feelings and stuff, like, a very
Yeah,
kinda random when I look back because I was pretty little, but, yeah, I don't know, I was kind of, always a
that's
little bit outside of the box, I guess? I don't know.
again, now I know why our souls connect.
Oh.
Or at least a few of the reasons. And so, like, how old do you think you were when you started? That's the first time I've ever had anyone respond with that type of answer, and I
Oh,
think it's beautiful. It's like
thank
a
you.
soul who knows herself and is
Oh.
like, what why do you think that was? What was your um like, what were your surroundings, and why did you feel, what's the what question, there's like 10 questions formally, like, how and why did you feel safe enough to, like, create rituals and go after the magical things and to just
Yeah,
be that that soul?
yeah. No, I think I don't know, it just felt like it was always part of who I was. It felt like that's how I came into the world, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. I always
Right.
would look for a little, because sometimes life gives you a different, a different story, but I still believe in always trying to find the thing in there that, like, and sometimes it's not all glowy or, but there's always
Sure.
something special and sacred, I think, in every situation. And even in, like, the darkness, even in the darkest times, like, it's just about, I don't know, just these moments. And so always trying to find those and connection. Like, my best friend and I growing up would just run wild and just have crazy outside time, just playing, and my sister, and, like, I just have a lot of really happy memories from that time. And I did have a lot of, like, energy, so there was a lot of just needing to get that out somehow.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
can I ask you
Okay.
what you were like? What were you like as a kid?
Oh, you did not.
I'm sorry. As I'm answering, I'm like, I'm so curious what you were like as a kid. Like,
Oh my
is that
gosh.
okay?
I don't know how many of these interviews I've done, and you are the first person to ask me that.
Oh, well, I want to know.
That's awesome. So this is for again, you the listener, this is us building a friendship and a relationship
Yeah.
right here live and unscripted. And I
Yes.
I love this because this is how we do it. Um I was shy. I was
Oh.
a little squirt. I was probably the kid who stood on the edge of the playground and watched everyone else play and wished that I had friends. And honestly, sometimes I think it's because of I'm learning just who I am as a soul,
Sure.
and the connections that I like to make. Sometimes even as an adult, I feel like I'm the kid standing on the edge of the playground, just
Totally.
like who are my friends and who are my people? And I know there's a lot of people out there who feel that way. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you're the person who feels that way, like I don't need you to feel bad for me. I'm just how life is, and that it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay for us to
Yeah.
feel that way. But as a
Yeah.
kid, I probably was a really obedient kid. But I also did things like, because I was quiet, I'm the oldest of four,
Oh,
and then
wow.
at 15 became the oldest of seven. Um,
Wow.
and I'm the third of nine. I have two older stepsisters. So um,
Whoa.
there was a lot going on, and I loved being outdoors.
Mhm.
I did as much as I could to not get in trouble.
Mhm. Yeah, no.
Um, I always felt a connection to an energy that I am okay calling God. Feel free to
Mhm.
call it, those of you who are listening, whatever works for you for that energy. Um, I've always felt different, and that I
Mm.
see the world differently,
Mhm.
probably in a little bit more of the magical way that you talk about. And uh, I'm trying to think, what did I wanna be? I think I wanted to be like a teacher
Oh,
or maybe
that's
a
awesome.
counselor when I grew up.
Wow.
I
A
know.
counselor. That's amazing. That's like very
Yeah,
deep for a child. That's amazing.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So somehow as a kid, I knew that um, if I could find a way to share my experiences, I would kick the door open for other people to share
Oh,
their
yeah.
experiences.
That's
I was kind of,
that is like profound. That's
yeah,
amazing.
I was probably a more serious kid, reflective. If I got
Totally.
in trouble, it was mostly quiet trouble.
Oh, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, but I loved to be outside. But I really
Yeah.
didn't come into my own until probably, like, when I say come into my own, knowing what I really, really liked doing, because I
Yeah,
was obedient
totally.
and a total rule follower because I didn't
Mhm.
like not being in trouble. Wait,
Sure.
I didn't
Well,
like being in
you didn't
trouble.
like being in trouble,
Um,
totally.
and so I did my best to stay out of it.
Yeah, which I get.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, I was quiet.
but I love how you explain that as kicking the door open for others, like, that's awesome. That is, like that's a great way of summarizing that whole you know what I mean? That's a pretty cool like, the
Yeah,
loop, that's a I love that. That's awesome.
that's thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. So, yeah, I loved hanging out with my friends,
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
doing the things,
And you didn't need a
doing the things.
lot. I mean, I never had like a ton of friends. As I've gotten older, I've made more friends. It feels like easier to be vulnerable, I think, as you get older.
Right?
But when I was little, I mean, the core friends that I had and I still have, and my sister, like I said, it's just like those are just my people. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and
Feel
it's
grateful.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting too. Like I have five. There were five of us that hung out together, starting at about
Wow.
um maybe somewhere inside junior high, but then when we could start driving and all of those things, we did more things together. And I
Yeah.
look at those girls and I look at how I felt inside of my home because,
Hmm.
I didn't love my upbringing per se.
Yeah.
My parents did the absolute best they knew how to do.
Sure.
It just it doesn't always work for us. And
Yeah.
I would look at my friends' families and think, oh my gosh, they have these perfect families. And but what happened is I feel like they kept me on a good path.
Yeah.
And we did high school together, we did college together,
Oh
or a
my
few years
God.
of college. We've had
Wow.
25 plus years of separation and we got together and it was like meeting you. It was like
Oh my
conversation
God.
just picked up like we had talked yesterday.
Oh, that's
So,
amazing. 5 friends? There's like a
yeah,
group of wow,
there's a little
that's
group.
like
Yeah, and
super
we
wow.
we don't talk often. Our lives have gone in very different ways, but our souls still have that connection.
Yeah, I love that. That's like that's very cool. You had your own little tribe.
Yeah, of
That's
which I'm
pretty
super grateful
cool.
for.
Yeah,
Okay, so the next question that like is that's like just sitting on the end of my tongue is
sure.
knowing how you felt like you love the magic things that I love to bury things
I just
that
yeah,
you
my mom
felt
was
like
like,
this
"Where
as
did
a
my stuff go?" And I would just be like, "I'm sorry."
you're like
I mean,
it's
it's
out
somewhere in
there,
the backyard.
check these coordinates.
Yeah. Yes. I'm like, "Here's your GPS. You can go find here's a shovel."
Oh my gosh, that is so rad.
Horrible.
um
Oh,
your mom probably didn't think it was rad, but that's
yeah,
rad.
yeah.
Okay, but knowing all of these things and like knowing your personality and that you are, I'm just going to say like of a more spiritual nature, more connected that way. Like what did you want to be? Like what did you
So
want to do with your life? Or
it's a
did you?
very strange answer because I used to say it all the time, and I look back and I'm like, that was kind of random. But when people ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I'd always say a mom. I'd always say
Yeah,
that I wanted to be a mother.
that's legit.
And it's just a really, I don't know. I never said like a vet or a this or a that. And I also wanted to be a farmer actually. So a mom and a farmer. Which is so random. But yeah, I wanted to be a mom who has a farm. But yeah, I always wanted to be around like nature and animals. And I loved like having kids that were young, playing with kids that were younger than me, and just like feeling like maternal. I always felt maternal towards people, probably of all ages. And that was just kind of how I came out, I think. How I came
Right.
out of the womb. I just feeling maternal towards people. I still feel that way. Like, yeah, I don't know.
And
So,
like that's kind of something that doesn't go away in our natures.
right.
I feel you. Like I babysat a lot when
Totally.
I
That,
was younger, and
yeah.
especially one family. Like I was pretty much like this the next addition to their family.
Oh,
Um, but I loved playing with kids of all ages, and
totally.
so I hear you. I feel you
Yeah.
there.
I bet you have the same, yeah, I could see the same thing in you. It's like I don't know. I always wanted to like take people under my wing, or like I always felt that way. Yeah.
Right?
So,
Did you want to like? I also liked sitting with the adults and doing this,
oh
like
yeah.
listening, learning,
Listening in. What did we
feeling
say?
feeling big and
Yes,
important.
totally. Yes. Or being at the
But
big kid table, or yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, when it was time to go to the big kids table, the adults, I would be like, "Can I sit with the little kids?"
Yes,
Like,
me
I just
too.
want to sit with the
I
little
usually would
kids.
I'd end up with like the younger, and all my cousins are a lot younger. They're younger than me. And so I would always kind of play games with them. I was the one who I loved entertaining them, and yeah, just family,
Right?
like being with my
Well,
whole extended family.
and are you the personality that like when a food fight ensued, they look at the little kids and they all look at you and go,
It was her. Yup.
"It was her."
She started it. I'm also very close to I'm very lucky. I'm really close to my grandmother. And I'm super grateful because, she's my daughter's great grandmother. She is just like she's like what I want to be like. She's just so, yeah, I'm just really lucky for like all of the family time I've had. And trust me, like no family is perfect, but I'm just
Right?
grateful. We're all, yeah. I mean, every
Well, we
family is.
come we come here to learn from our families. They're
Yeah.
like sometimes it
Yeah.
feels pretty crappy, but
Yeah.
they play a role for us.
Yeah, totally. And my grandma is like my person. So,
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
I love it. I
she's
love it.
pretty
Okay,
cool.
did you go to college?
I did. Yes, I did.
Tell me more. What'd you study? Where did you
I
study?
I studied, so I was a literature major for undergrad. I have a master's. This is just really funny. So I have a literature undergrad, master's in counseling. So I did a lot of substance abuse counseling for a while.
Yeah.
And do
Wow.
you have a background in counseling, or also? Well, so yeah, I did some substance abuse counseling. I've kind of had like, you name it, I've done it. I don't really believe in like a straight line with anything. So I think that, whatever you do, it like everything kind of, nothing is wasted. So everything adds
Yeah.
to making you who you are. I've had lots of odd jobs, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, so I was a substance abuse counselor in New York for a few years.
In New York.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I was working actually with like I worked with like in gangs, like working with gang violence. It was fascinating.
Okay.
And then I do stickers now.
I love it. Okay, so let's talk about that. Like, what are that's a pretty, I would imagine, a pretty heavy environment to be in. Like
Very.
what kinds of things did you draw from that built you up or informed your lived experience in positive or higher energy ways?
Yeah.
And how did it affect you in ways that you're just like, whoa, like how do you stay in that environment and keep yourself healthy?
That is an amazing
You go to
question
stickers.
for somebody else.
Yeah.
I think no, I literally, yeah. I did it for a few years, and then I was like, I think I'm pretty tapped out. It's a mixed bag. It's a little sad because they were like, a lot of the patients were court mandated and just wanted to get through the program. Some people really wanted to be there to change. to have support. And so, it was a really eye-opening experience of how the world is, there's just so many different paths, and it made me very grateful for mine. And I also am going to tell you that these were a lot of the most, like, I worked mostly with the men, and these were some of the kindest, most loving souls who just did not have a really fair path, in, like, they just started in these families where there was violent, gang violence, and a lot of that they were just part of it. And yeah, some amazing souls. And actually, interestingly enough, I was running the art classes there, and they were doing art, and I looked over, and like there was a table of about 10 men, and they were making these beautiful, like, graffiti, just doing graffiti on the page. And I looked down at them, and one of them said to me, "The best thing in the world is to make art that can travel." And he said, that's why I love tagging all of the subways. He would go with his friends, and they would tag all of the, the subway cars. And he said to me, making art that travel is the best thing, because you could go to the next stop and your art would go by and you'd have an art show. And when he said that, I actually got the idea later, but when I thought of stickers, I was like, oh, that's art that can travel. And so it kind of, I mean, it's a big full circle, but it was really, yeah, they were super inspiring, the people that I worked with.
I would love to hear more about that, because I really am a believer in that piece right there, that it's that we don't most often do things because we're bad people.
Right.
We get into things because we're hurting people, or we've been hurt, or we're disconnected. And so I have a brother who spent 9 years in prison. The man I was married to spent some time in jail. Those things changed my life in really big ways, because it's like, them in one way, they're struggling in these ways over here, and it's so easy to judge it. And then the place that they're sitting, and it changed my whole view, really, of all of the people sitting in there, especially when I would go and visit my brother, and I would see these other people in jail. We call them prisoners. And they're probably really just prisoners of their heart and their mind. And they're incarcerated because of their choices. It was such a mind and heart opening thing for me. And so, like, will you speak a little more to that? Like, I love that you did the art stuff, and it brought out, like, that hit me so big, that it brings out the tender, like, little piece of them that is just aching to be seen and heard.
Totally. And thank you for sharing that. That's like such a wow, that you went through that with your brother. And I do think that when something is so personal, it makes it feel so much closer to home, but it also makes you realize how much empathy and compassion you have for these people who are in different, we've all done things in life that nobody's perfect. Nobody's walking around. And sometimes they're small scale, sometimes they're big scale. Worked with.
Let me ask you this before you go on. Like, your comment of we've all done things, and we all will do things. I am a believer of, we're all really just one step or one decision away from being the person who's incarcerated, or the person who could be sitting in a gutter, wondering what their life is about, homeless somewhere, or the person who's whatever thing we want to judge. We're all one decision and one. What are your thoughts in that, having seen the things that you've seen? Like, is that a true statement? Is that am I up in the night?
No, I totally, it's wild. I mean, I grew up in a family that, I grew up with a home and food and all of the things. I was very lucky. I'm very grateful. But like, some of these people that that were my patients were lovely and amazing. I had one one man who was amazing. He was and his whole family had been killed by gangs.
Oh,
And he witnessed it. And
the
was getting in
heartache.
he was getting in trouble because he was sleeping with I think he had a toothbrush that he had a toothbrush and they were worried he could use it as a weapon. You have to be like super careful with everything. And
Sure.
he was saying to me, this is like how I grew up. Like I need to be able to defend myself. And we did a bunch of amazing I ended up giving him a journal, and I gave a bunch of journals out and like got nothing back or got like a little something. And I mean, it was fine. This man came back to me with the most beautiful, like pages and pages of writing. I mean, it
Oh,
could have been a book. And he opened up in those pages. He let me read them. And
oh, wow.
I know, which was amazing. And he just opened up to me through his writing. He was a young, probably like 25, had been through so much. And really was just like a good soul. Like, and there were so many men like that. I like, again, and women and everyone. Like, I happened to work with, I also worked in the PTSD wing for a while. So people who had been in combat. It was just, we're very lucky. Like, it just made me have a lot of gratitude for my own life, and things that maybe felt tough felt a lot more like, oh, that's not so bad. It put things in
Right.
perspective. But also just gave me so much respect for these amazing people who are going through, the dark night of the soul in their lives. And it's just the path they were given. And a lot of them trying to work on it and get out. And find, but when that's all I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, it was just really eye-opening.
And I've heard people say, even people very close to me say, sometimes I want to do something to go back in because I know I have three squares in a bed.
Yep.
Decisions are made for me.
Yeah.
I don't have all the choices and
Yeah.
the consternation of what are people going to think. I know what the rules
Yeah.
are. I know what time I have to wake up, what time I have
Yeah.
to go to bed.
Yeah.
Sometimes I fear for
Yeah.
my safety,
Yeah. No,
possibly.
yeah,
Um,
I would hear
I know the
that.
culture inside there, and I know that I'm going to have my basic needs met.
Totally. That is a
I
very real statement. That I've heard that before several times. And that's not,
it
yeah.
blows my
Yeah.
mind, and I look at the places where I have judged. And I look at the places still because I'm human and I wear
Yeah.
skin, and I find
Oh,
myself
yeah.
wanting to go to judgment in certain cases, and then I have to say, "Whoa, Jen, like, do you know their backstory?
It's
Do you know do you know what causes a person to make those kinds of choices? Like,
right.
that takes a lot of pain and a lot of hurt to do the behavior or take the action that they just did." And, um while I'm not condoning those things, I am saying for myself, like,
Yeah.
practice a little more grace and love and actually get to know someone's story.
No,
Like,
yeah, I completely agree with what you just
I
said. And
say
I
having
also, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead. I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. I say having the experiences that you had so closely to it, how how did you learn to change your view that way? And what would you say to the person listening to us today who wants to stand in judgment or self-righteousness?
Well, no, that's a great question. I got into substance abuse counseling mostly because I had lost two people very close to me at young ages,
Okay.
to substance abuse, to overdoses. And like one of my closest, dearest friends and somebody that I had dated for a long time both passed away from overdoses. And after that, I was like, oh my God, I lost these two beautiful souls. Like, it just felt like complete, like there has to be, and before that, I think there was always a lot of judgment around addiction and things like that. And
Right.
I also had to unlearn a lot of those things. When I was, and also working with the families and seeing the pain that they've gone through, which is very real
Right.
beyond. And it's just but I also seeing that like these addictions were these like amazing souls, just beautiful souls, and a lot of time the most gentle souls who are just hurting
Right.
so bad.
That's the piece
And
right
I mean,
there.
just
The
gentle, sweet
gentle.
souls. I mean, look, every now and then you're going to get a few. There were a handful of people that I was like,
Sure.
all right, we get that. Yeah. Like, I mean, there were some that I was like, okay, but most of them, the majority, were these great people. And being in the family sessions with them was like, I mean, really, yeah. Watching how much watching the love at the root of it and the pain and just, I mean, this was like, yeah, it was, it was some pretty wild stuff.
Oh, I can only imagine.
I mean, like the heart. It was, yeah.
So for a while, I did the 12 steps like 13
amazing.
years ago.
Yeah.
I did it first through a program that the LDS Church had, and then I facilitated 12-step family programs. And 12 steps is I love the program, but what I loved about it is being able to sit in a room with people who are dealing and working through addiction, and to listen to their hearts. And there's like, those rooms were so spiritual and
so spiritual,
and to hear their hurt and to hear their hearts, and
it's like,
and to learn to love in a different way. But what I love too is that a lot of programs like 12 steps will ask the families, and I'm assuming this is what you experience too, is it's not just the person with the addiction, it's the family system or the situation.
Totally.
And asking the family members, this is what I always found interesting, is like, hey, we're inviting you to do the 12-step program. Come do the family program.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to serve your loved one to go through all of this stuff and all of this change, and then to plop them back in a situation where you haven't changed. You haven't acknowledged your own, I'm going to call it illness or sickness. And is that what you guys kind of did too, is you invited families to come and take a peek at themselves? That's hard for people to do. Like,
yeah, that's a hard one. That a lot of times what we would do is we would put the person who was, getting the treatment in a chair, and then the family member in a chair, and kind of turn them towards each other, and they could talk about what was hurting, like the pain, and they would just they would just be looking. The eye contact was really important. And then there were also kids, and that was really hard. I think one thing I struggled with was trying to not overly cry, which obviously is not super professional. I mean, it's,
I wouldn't have been able to do it.
But yeah, like it was very hard. I still have in my mind's eye one of the interactions, and it was a little girl and her father, and she was just this beautiful soul, and her father was too, and you could see all the love. But yeah, there was definitely trying to kind of, because the family system has a lot to do with it. Yeah, we only had, unfortunately, in the place that I worked, we only had 28 days usually. And it's not really, it's a hard amount of time to really turn around.
It's just enough to get started, and then
I know, and then like send them on their way. And every time I wanted to be like, wait, like or like, can we keep you for another month just to like, because I know we can get there. I had a patient who was amazing. He played, obviously this is all like confidential, I'm not sharing any names. He was an amazing musician, and he play on the streets of New York City, and he'd make all this money, but then, he had to, and I talked to him after the fact when, he called the facility, and I spoke with him, and he was doing really well. And so that was really awesome. You just keep, one day at a time. So
you just keep them in your heart and in your prayers, and just send them good vibes.
Totally.
It's so okay. So let's go back to, like, this is coming to mind of when we get to work with or have people who may have addiction or just big struggles in their world. How do we, as people who also have struggles
Sure.
and things that we might not deem or term addiction.
But yeah,
And we're in a more prideful, I'm just gonna call it a more prideful, like everything's okay kind of state.
sure.
How do we, what was the question? How do we learn to see those people differently? Like what would you say to someone who has that in their life, and someone that they're always complaining about doing dumb things and making dumb decisions and all of that?
Yeah,
Like how do you help them change their mindset, and more than their mindset, their heart set?
right. So I think that's a really good
That
question.
that goes back to the like magical piece in you, and the piece that knows spirit and ritual and all of that. Like, because I feel like that plays into all this stuff that you've done.
I love that, and I wish that I could tell you that I'm, like, evolved and, like, I mean, like, I feel like it's a case by case basis, if I'm being totally honest. Like, I
Yeah,
feel
sure.
like, as I meet someone, especially as I get older, I kind of it's like with you, I just felt like, "Oh, yeah, no, like, this is we're connected," and I try to with the judgment, I mean, I'm a work in progress. That
We
was a
all are.
really we all are. I think that was a really good lesson for me, because it was a wake-up call when I, literally, like, one of my very best friends who I grew up with, like, to lose him, and he was, like, the most amazing person. Just, like, I mean, like, oh, he lit up a room. I mean, truly. And my whole family felt heartbroken. Like, and so just knowing that this was something that he struggled with, and he was brilliant. Like, and so just knowing that, like, people are out there, and what you see is not always, what's behind the curtain. Like, there's usually a lot of different things going on with all of us. We're all walking around with, like, pain and love and hurt and all of the things. And inspiration. Like, just we're just all walking around trying to make it work.
Figure out our
That
own
sounds
messes.
depressing. But yeah, trying to figure it out. And, like, we're all like little kids. Like, I think that helps me sometimes, is I think when I am struggling with something, I'll be like, try to see someone as a little kid and be like,
Ooh, I like that.
yeah, because you look at them and you're like, what? Let's go a little deeper. Like, what is going on
Right?
here? A little deeper. And then I hope some people also give me grace with that back. And when I'm not my best self, can see my inner child and be like, okay, maybe she's going through this or that. And yeah.
Yeah, I love that. One, because I'm a believer in that, and again, because I wear skin, sometimes I forget
Sure.
those
Me
pieces,
too.
and especially depending on how I'm feeling in my own body and in my own soul, and if I'm not moving through something what I would consider well, and I just am a little more, I tend to
Totally.
be more like, "Arr, such a
Oh
jerk,"
yeah.
or
Yeah. Welcome
but,
to the club.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
welcome to being human.
Welcome to being
Um,
human.
but I love those moments, and I'm grateful they happen more often than not, where I can just say,
Yeah.
I can feel that, and then I
Yeah.
can go, just
Oh
like,
yeah.
what is, there's
Yeah.
more, Jen. Like, there's
So
more. And I guess that's the piece that I'm getting at, is for each of us to learn how to interact in a way that's like emotionally safe for us, that's spiritually safe for us
mhm.
with these people, so that we can. And
Yeah.
sometimes, for me, sometimes that means you get to be at arm's length. I can love you
Totally.
at arm's length,
Totally. Yes.
because that's what's
Yeah.
safe for me, so that I can
Totally.
continue to love my brother, that was in prison. He
Mhm.
actually passed away a year and a half ago, and
Oh, I'm
I
so
had to
sorry.
keep him. Thank you.
I'm so
It was
sorry.
shocking. It was shocking. But here's the cool thing. He passed in his sleep with a smile on his face. So
Oh,
there's a lot of peace. But he was a soul who, I'm the more I'm learning of him. He was 18 months younger than me. I learned yesterday for the first time. Ooh, this will make me emotional.
I know. I'm like, I'm gonna start getting emotional. Like, so-
I didn't know
oh
this.
my
He
god.
was 48 when he passed. I didn't know this. His favorite color was yellow.
Oh my God, that's like, don't get
I
me
had
started.
no
That is like,
idea.
oh,
And I was talking to a woman that he was married to. Thank you, Darcy, if you see this, for sharing this information with me. She goes and puts yellow flowers on
fun.
his grave, and I I was like, oh my gosh, you do. He loves yellow, and I love that I can learn these
I
things from other
love that.
people. Because with us, we had to hold him at arm's length because he wasn't nice. We didn't know how to have healthy interactions with each other, and it's just so. I think what I'm saying, and I think what you've said too, is like it's case by case, and it's okay to have to hold people farther out in order to be safe and to
Yeah,
love them and to wish them well and send them good energy.
totally.
We don't have to try and save everybody.
I'm
We
totally
can hold space for their stories.
completely. And thank you for sharing that about your brother. I love that about the yellow. I love that so much.
I do
That's
too.
like such
I
a,
would have
it just
I
says
would have
so
never
much.
thought
Like,
that.
I know, and it's such a it's like such a beautiful, it's just such a beautiful thing. Like, and you know, it's funny when I was in school, we were doing a project. This is just a random aside, but you made me think of it. And
I love
the
it.
teacher gave out like all these colored pieces of paper. And I remember, I think by chance I chose yellow. And she said to me, that's like a really, and yellow and orange mixed is my favorite color. Very very specific, very
That's
specific. It has to
awesome.
look like a sunset. But she said to me, yellow is like such a rare color, and that just like when it's somebody's color, that it's just such a rare thing, and it just is such a joyful. Because yeah, she was just talking about how special that is. I'm just thinking of your brother because that's just it
I
is such a joyful color. It's just
I love that you said that because when I heard that yesterday, I don't have a word. I don't have a word to describe how I felt of like the word that came to mind was like tender and bright,
yes,
and
it's
he was
so
such
like
a tough like Mr. Badass, but really inside had a
yes,
really tender soul and
yeah,
would give you the shirt off his back unless you pissed him off and then he just beat you up. But
yeah.
he he really was on the inside. I'm learning this just tender guy, and when I heard that, I thought what you just said, like it just, I don't know, there was such a sweetness to hearing that and hearing
Totally.
that that was his color, and
I love
it was a
that.
beautiful thing. Yeah,
I love that. I also feel like when I think of yellow, when you were describing it, it also feels like a lot more peaceful on the inside. Like
yeah,
just a lot softer on the inside. Like that, you know what I mean? Just
yeah.
oh, it's amazing
It's
how the
pretty cool,
littlest
huh?
things can be the biggest things, you know?
Yeah, and sometimes how we get to learn those things after they're gone because there's just not space to learn them while they're here.
Yeah, it's interesting. That can happen. Like I truly believe that. And relationships are interesting. That's why I said case by case. Like sometimes we do
Right.
have to hold space for ourselves and make sure that like, you know, but I also think that a lot of times the same wavelengths will find each other of people, you know what I mean, over
Yes.
time. And that when you find something where you're like, you can just kind of like feel it out and be like, all right, we'll come
Yeah.
back to that. Yeah,
Right.
we'll
Oh
come
my
back to that.
gosh. Okay. I love this. This conversation has gone nowhere where I thought it would. I had no idea like what it would go with. I
Right,
never in a
right.
million
I
years thought
know. I
that's what it would
know.
be. And it's been amazing.
It's
And we're not
been
done
amazing.
yet. We're not done yet.
Okay, okay.
Um, so I really want to talk about like what that next phase was. You went from this really heavy,
Very heavy.
beautiful, like brutal
It was brutal.
experience of,
Glennon Doyle. It was beautiful. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
of being with these beautiful souls experiencing hard things on the planet and in their lived experience. And you know, you really can only stay in that for so long, especially with a
True.
soul like yours or like mine.
Yes.
And you say you went from there to stickers. So like, how did you move into that? And I really want to talk about, stickers
Aw.
and where you're
Stickers.
at now.
Yes. So so stickers. So I moved out.
How did you get there?
Yes. So it's a very strange. So I was in that spot and I always felt like I'm very close with my family and I always felt like they all needed me to be close by because they just would need me. Like I was always helping with things and I just felt like they would always need me near. And then something in me was like, because I was in New York, something in me was
Right.
go west. And so I had grown up coming to the Tetons and visiting a lot, camping with my parents and everything.
Where's home? Where's home originally? Like, where'd you
Home
grow
is
up?
it's called Yorktown Heights. It's in New York. It's like an hour outside of the city.
Okay. Okay.
And and I love it there too. That's still kind of home also.
Sure.
Because I
Sure.
lived
Your
there for
family's there.
35 years. 35 years is, and then I moved west when I was 35 and moved out to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and love it out here.
Completely different experience.
Yeah, yeah. Love it out here. Hey guys, my parents.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad, you want to come? They're hiding. But yeah, so moved out west, and yeah, the rest is history. I worked for several years. When I first moved out here, I worked at I worked at a hotel for a year, which was actually very fun. I met one of my best friends there, which was great because she's still one of my best friends, and so she was like the wonderful gift that I got from that. And then yeah, I've been out here almost 9 years. Had my daughter.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And so I got married. I had my daughter, and she's 3 now. No longer married, but so grateful that I started a sticker business, and the rest is history.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so talk to me about stickers for a minute. Like,
Yes.
how do you? Because it's my understanding that stickers is sustainable for you.
Yes,
Like, that's what you get to do.
That's what I do.
How did you decide stickers? And like, how did you grow that? Like, for the person who's listening, wanting to, like, they have this wild idea that they can do this thing, and they get in and it's like, oh, this feels hard, and I don't know if I'm making a difference. I don't know that it's sustainable. Like, how do you keep going to be where you're at today?
Yeah, I could tell you what I did specifically. So when I first moved out here, I always wanted to do something. I always wanted to start a business. I always had that entrepreneurial bug since I was little. And so I always kind of would have like little businesses where I made like greeting cards or this or that. Like I always did little, but they were always hobbies. And so I actually, when I first moved out to Jackson, I decided to take like online business classes. And I wrote out, and you can probably do these for free. Like I paid to do them with a woman named Marie Forleo. She does like something called B School.
I'm very familiar with Marie.
Yeah. So I took her class and I just like, I focused, I made lists of like different business ideas. That's one of the things she has you do. And then I did all of like the numbers. I made like customer avatar profiles, and I had about 20 businesses listed. And then I basically crossed out all of them. And the only one that was left that seemed profitable was stickers, which sounds funny.
Wow. Right? That's like it's a little mind blowing. Like, okay.
Yes. But I noticed in the area here, because I was from New York and nobody had stickers on their car in New York, or very few people, everyone here had stickers everywhere. And so it was kind of when like the sticker market was just starting to take off. And I just started painting. I was doing watercolor paintings and going on hikes by myself. And then I would just turn them into stickers. And I liked the fact that like there was a high margin on the product. You know, I didn't have to have a huge amount of like overhead inventory wise. And then I
Right.
grew it from very little. And yeah, that's how I make my living. Which
That
is
is seriously
wild.
incredible. How how many, right? It is, and
It
it's
is.
freaking
It is.
awesome.
It's crazy.
How many years did it take to really become a profitable, sustainable, like that
Yeah,
you're in that flux of
sure.
like, oh, is this gonna take off? Is it that it's that resistance piece of like, am I gonna keep going?
Yes.
Am I gonna give
Yeah.
in?
Yes. So I actually I always had another job. So I worked for a gallery for about 3 or 4 years, and I was always kind of building my business on the side. I would come home from work and work on that. And building it the whole time, kind of behind the scenes in my own time. And so, I mean, I did it for about like 4 years before I could pay myself like an actual salary.
Yeah.
So to really like get it off the ground. And it also took a lot of hustling, a lot of selling, a lot of knocking on doors and hearing no, hearing yes, which was always nice. I still hear
Right.
no. You gotta just have to get out there and just emailing and like doing, sending out catalogs, lots of time on the computer, lots of late nights after I put my daughter to bed, filling orders.
Right.
But yeah,
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to like have another sit down with you like face to face and
yeah.
hear more of this story. I think it's fabulous.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
we're at our hour mark. I don't
Yeah.
want to stop, but I also know mom and dad are there and I want you to have time with mom and dad. Like,
Yeah, they're
gosh,
they're just so funny.
that's amazing.
They're so
Hey,
funny.
mom and dad, if you can hear me, you raised an amazing kid. You should be
You're
proud of
so
yourself.
sweet. You're the sweetest.
Like
Don't worry, they're both outside.
moms and dads sometimes need to hear that even when their
Oh,
kids are big.
you're so
Like
sweet. Same to your
being a
parents.
parent is hard stuff.
It's
Thank you.
yeah.
I will pass that along.
It's
Maybe she'll hear this. Mom, did you hear that? I'm a good
Mom, I'm sending you this message. Yeah.
right?
And
I'm
it,
going to cut this clip and send it right to her.
I love
That's
it.
funny. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, my mom was actually in my front room when we were doing this, and she popped around the screen, and
Yay.
it was kind of fun to have her just show up.
Love
And
that.
I think if I can talk her into it, we're gonna do one of these just with her in a couple of weeks. So,
Yes, that would be
right?
amazing. I'd love to see where you came from and
I think,
who your mama bird is. I love that.
right?
Yes,
Yeah, she's a pretty cool
completely.
soul.
I
Okay. Last words,
yeah,
what's on your heart to say to someone today of like just how to move forward in a joyful space, or how
yeah,
whatever wisdom you want to impart. That's
in
just
part. Okay, let me let me see
yeah,
what
I know
what
that's a big question.
I
Like, what's
know. It's
on my heart?
amazing. I think that well, something I always tell people, and I don't know if you're thinking of doing art of any kind, like I mean, you know, you don't have to be professionally trained or this or that. Just like sit down and make art. And don't worry about what anybody thinks. So many of my pieces I look at after and I'm like, "Oh Lord, I don't know if that should have like, you're always nothing's going to ever feel complete or done. Just have fun with it." And also with building a business, have fun with that. It's going to take a few years. It's very uncommon for things to just get off the ground. And, it always takes time. It takes figuring it out. It's also, you still have your ups and downs. I still have my ups and downs with the business, with keeping things, you have to just always be working at it. But I think having fun is like, if you can have fun and then just enjoy what you do and then just do it from your heart. And I'm just talking about making art now, not business.
Yeah,
I just think
I
it's fun
think
to play with
business
different
too.
mediums.
Like,
I make jewelry on the side. I do things just for myself that like I collect feathers. I do all kinds of random stuff that I'm sure nobody will ever see or whatever, but I do it for me. It makes my heart happy. I have a sketchbook that's like just for me. I think do things for yourself that make you feel good and know that like everyone struggles and nobody's we've all got our stuff, and anybody walking around saying otherwise is full of shit. Sorry.
Right.
But like, no, we
I
all have our
I
stuff. We're all
agree.
vulnerable. We're all coming to, the day to day with something, and just, yeah, stay strong in there, because there's your tribe is out there, and people are out there, and everyone feels this to it. We just don't talk about it. So
Right.
just hold
I
space for someone today, or hold space for yourself, and just be gentle with yourself. I think that's the main
Oh
thing.
my gosh, I can't
Be
believe you just said
gentle.
that.
Be gentle with yourself.
I tell people that all the time. Like, be
So
gentle. Put
true.
yourself on a gentle cycle.
Oh my gosh. We're so like, yeah. Yeah. Put yourself on the gentle cycle. I like that. That's
Yeah, I love
beautiful.
it. I can tell you that Leah probably just lost her mind when you said you don't have to be a professional to do art. Like, just get
Oh,
in there and do it, because
just do it.
um,
Get
every
dirty. Like, go in
Thursday,
and, yeah. I know. I just
she just
saw
wrote,
that. She's
be
so
gentle.
sweet. Be gentle with
Leah, did you lose your mind when she said that? She started talking about art.
Leah.
So on Thursdays, Leah hops on here, and Leah is an artist,
Yep.
and she does watercolors, and she's been very
Love.
patiently helping me move through some perfectionism that still wants to hang in there.
Sure.
And um, I'm sitting here looking at last week's. It was a little watermelon. I still got to go in and add the seeds,
Oh,
but
I
I
want to
love.
see.
Okay,
What can I see it?
this is a really vulnerable for me, but I
Oh,
don't I
thank you
don't
for.
care.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my God, I love that. And I
I
love how
know,
the color, I love those colors. That is beautiful.
right?
Yes.
I could
I
almost make
love
it
the
into a
bottom,
pizza, maybe.
especially where the colors come together. Show the
Thank
bird,
you.
she said. She said, show the bird.
Show the bird. What bird? The crazy bird?
Oh, I
This
want to
one?
see. Okay. That might need to become a sticker. That's
It's
phenomenal.
so
I love
oh,
that.
Nick, and I know someone who can help me do it. Like, look, I've done stuff.
These are gorgeous.
Okay, look at the last ones we did. I can't believe
These
I'm
are
doing this,
really, really
because
awesome.
this freaks me out. Like, it really truly freaks my mind out. I have to sit with so many feelings of just angst sometimes. Lee's like, let's just do a simple tree. I'm like, okay. And she does it, and I'm like, but look what
Yeah,
turned out,
yeah. That's beautiful. Oh my God, I love that.
right?
Did
So
did
I'm
Leah do
learning.
that?
No, I did.
You did that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm
These are
learning. So
fabulous.
thank you. So when you're talking about that piece of, like, have fun in it. I'm doing my best
Yeah, yeah.
to have fun in
Yeah.
it, because those parts speak so loudly, and that you brought out the piece of, it doesn't have to be
It
professional. Just
doesn't.
get in
It
and
really
do
does.
it.
Just do
And
it.
no matter what it
Everything
is.
with everything. I believe that, like, one of my goals in my life is to try and learn as many art forms as possible. And when I tell you that, like, I probably suck at most of them, that is the truth. But like, it's just getting
But
up
we
and
all
trying
start
again
sucking.
and again. Yeah, just doing it again and again. Like, I mean, I love learning new things. I'm always trying to learn new things. Even just like, fly fishing. I didn't think, that I've
Right?
always wanted to learn it. And now my boyfriend has been teaching me, and it's been wonderful and like very healing. Yeah.
Okay, so fly fishing, I was
Yeah.
helping at a race this past weekend, and this man comes over with this little teeny thing. I can't remember what it's called now. It was a fly fishing rod that was this big, weighed
What?
nothing. It weighed
What?
absolutely nothing. And it had the string wrapped around it, and he unwrapped it, and then it telescoped out into a 10-foot pole.
No.
No
You
reel, just
serious?
just the motion.
That is,
Yeah,
I've
for easy
never,
for backpacking.
that that is
I know.
amazing.
Let me blow your
That
mind.
is like, I'm literally right now like, that
Yeah,
is that is amazing. I need to find out more about that. That
yeah.
just
I can't remember the name of it. Anyway,
that's
when
okay.
you
We'll
get to
Google
that
it.
when you get to that point, look up
Wow.
travel flight, like
The
ultralight,
travel
maybe
fly rod.
hiking, fly fishing rod. Seriously, it was like
That's
not
amazing.
even a foot long. It
That
was
is
incredible.
that is just, and even that, like, getting out on the water, I had my cousin asked me about it, and I was like, it's just about, I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't know, maybe I sound like But I mean, if you catch, that's great. Like, yeah. But I'm just learning right now, and it's been, where the flies get stuck in the tree and this and that. Like, I mean, I'm not that great at all, but I'm learning. And like, so I guess what I'm trying to say is like everything, like the watercolors, the fly fishing, whatever your thing that you've been kind of putting on the back burner and it feels like, oh, I don't, go just pick it up, just do it. It's just the act of going and doing it. It's going to just keep doing it. And to me,
the word keeps coming to me, like, just embrace the suck.
Totally embrace the suck. It's true. It's like, what difference does it make? So if it's like you find out you're horrible at it, okay, then it doesn't bring you joy, let it go. Like Marie Kondo. But like, I feel like in terms of, you're not going to know until you try. So to me, that's like the main thing, is going and just trying something different. That like my dad and I have been talking about fly fishing for years and wanting to go. And now I love that we're finally going to like just do it and just see how it feels and make it a reality. So yeah, just those little things. It doesn't have to be, it could just be something little that brings you joy.
I love it. What are you doing on August 24th? Do you want to come over here?
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
We're having our live get together.
No way.
In Sugar City. I'll reach out.
If I could bring my daughter.
Yeah. There's a possibility of that. We'll talk.
Yeah.
My mind is just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till, like, because I know you just live not that far away, and I want to play.
Yeah, even just for the day or something, or like whatever, we'll figure out. Totally.
Yeah. I'm coming your way soon. Oh my heck, we could do this forever. I feel like we could just talk for hours.
I know. And we just have a friendship.
It's so delightful.
Yeah, totally. You're just
delightful.
Lovely.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you asking me to volunteer too. That was so kind of you.
Yeah, it really is my pleasure. Like, I didn't even really think about it. It just came out of my mouth. I'm like, okay, we're doing this.
You too.
I felt it as well.
You and Leah, I just felt this complete connection with the two of you. And it was like, yeah, we're all friends. Totally. Like, we're good.
We're playing. We're playing soon. And let's make arrangements to have you on our next year's river trip. Can you imagine that?
I would love. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
I would love that.
We're going to talk. Because now that I've had an hour almost, because I had more time with you, I'm like, oh my heck. Yeah.
Definitely.
You're the people. Oh my heck. Thank you for sharing.
Right back at you.
Oh, I love it. I'm just really grateful that you shared your heart, that you shared your time.
Same.
And I look forward to our next conversation. And you know what? We may do this again, because I think there's a lot we could talk about that would bring value to those who will hear it. So those of you who have heard it today, I hope you've enjoyed the nuggets that have come out, that you have found value in it. And I just invite you to apply it. And if you have questions about anything that we talked about today, reach out, put them in the comments. I know that feels a little bit risky sometimes, but that's what being a righteous rebel is all about, is putting yourself out there, stretching those comfort zones, listening to your heart, getting the answers that your soul is searching for. Ask the questions and we'll make sure that they get passed on. And then also, if you want some really cool stickers, go to Holly Sage Art. I'm plugging, baby. Holly Sage Art. I don't even know how many stickers I saw in the little spinny thing, but I loved every one of them. And I'm happy to share you out.
Thank you so much.
How do people get a hold of you?
I have an Etsy shop. It's just Holly Sage Art. And then I have a website, just hollysageart.com. You can go on there, but the Etsy shop is probably the best place to go. And just do your own art, do your art, go enjoy, do whatever brings you joy. This is just what I do. What do you do? Like, that's what awesome. Yes.
And then I'm going to invite you to take a picture of the thing that you do, no matter what it is. You're doing art, or you're baking a cake, or you're sitting down having a conversation, and put it in our art gallery over on the Righteous Rebels group on Facebook. We have a gallery that's pinned to the top. We love to celebrate you and the things that you're doing, even if you're in one of those moments of embracing the suck.
Totally. I mean, welcome to life. but just do
let's
something. You're gonna
embrace the
surprise
suck
yourself.
together.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
You're gonna surprise
I
yourself.
love
Like that watermelon. That watermelon was amazing. Like we all have gifts in us. It's just finding them, you know, and
right.
just cultivating it. Totally.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being who you are. And thank you, the listener, for being who you are. The energy that you contributed to today's conversation and just to the Righteous Rebels in general. Again, if you have not joined our Facebook group, The Righteous Rebels, head on over, click the button, boink, we'll let you in so that you can add your magic to what we're doing. And then also be informed on the events that are coming up and the adventures that we're creating for you to really step into all of who you are so that you have a better sense of how to hear your own heart and to speak your own voice and to know your own beliefs. Again, August 24th is an in-person event. We only have 10 spaces. We just opened that. Leah, is it open yet or have we just started advertising it? I think you can register now. If not, reach out. We'll make sure that you get registered. It's going to be an amazing night. And then watch for the river trip for next year's registration and other cool things that we've got going on. With that, we're just going to say thank you again for sharing your time with us. We went a little bit long, but you know what? That was so smooth and easy. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Erica. And remember, you're welcome. You're welcome. We'll do this again. Remember, be bold, be brave, be a rebel. We'll see you soon.